What I'm saying is that's gonna get expansive because you'll start losing jig heads a lot. Hey guys, what's up? Good small, it's a good striper. Alright, get ourselves a good striper, guys. It's a good striper. Woo! It's a good size striper. Good size striper. Hey guys, this is Connor from OOW Outdoors. Today I want to do a kind of a response video to one of the videos I saw online. It's actually from Brian Latimer, and I'm a big follower of his, and I watch a lot of his content. It's really good. And recently he did a video about kayaks versus John boats, and I figured, I was gonna do this video too, but I didn't know if it got any attention or if anybody even wanted to discuss the topic. But for a lot of Brian Latimer's videos, I agreed a lot with it, but I think he was also missing a couple of very vital things, because he's predominantly a bass fisherman out of a big fiberglass boat with a little bit of exposure to I guess John boats as he was growing up, and even more or less exposure to the kayak world. And I can speak for just those two, and I can't speak for the bass world. So my first boat was a 14-foot John boat, Alumacraft, 14-foot, 36 inches wide, dubbed 1436. It has a 9.9 horsepower Mercury on it, and it's got a 50-pound thrust trolling motor out front. I didn't do any decking, anything like that, and that boat I bought for $2,700. After all the modifications, the battery, control panels, nighttime lights, nav lights, things like that, you could pretty much round it up to about $4,000 with the tag and tax and the trailer. Trailer came with it. Boat was not a brand new boat. It was a used boat. Now, if you were going to buy a brand new boat, that 1436, you could probably, well, we can't get it today. Alumacraft actually stopped making it, but you could probably go to Lund. You could probably go to a couple other manufacturers. It's a Riveted Jon boat, which is the bottom of the barrel Jon boat. It's not a welded one. So the Riveted Jon boats, 1436, those are usually about $900 to $1,200. Kind of, that's a good, like, if you're going to buy it brand new. The engine is a 9.9 horsepower. 9.9 is advantageous in a couple things, just because it's a 9.9 here in Oklahoma. You don't actually have to register it. Okay, so you save on tags every year. The tags aren't so expensive, but still, you save a little bit of money on that. So the 9.9 Mercury 4-stroke, it retails for about 22 to 29, depending on what kind of options you have on it. But mine was, once again, bottom of the barrel, right? It's the pull start, and that's it. No power no power trim, nothing like that. And like I said, you could probably build that all together brand new, about $4,000. A little bit over $4,000, maybe $5,000. And we're gonna compare that. So if you're gonna buy that brand new, then that's the price. If you're gonna buy it used, I also give you the price, $2,700. Now we're also gonna compare that to my Hobie Pro Angler. Hobie Pro Angler is a 14-foot model, the Pro Angler 14. It is one of the biggest kayaks that you can buy right now. It's got the pedal drive system, and it was the first kayak to have a pedal drive system. That's how old it is, and that's how dated I am. So I have a lot of history with the John boat. I have a lot of history with the kayak, and I've also done a lot of things with the John boat and the kayak. So I know ins and outs, paying taxes, transporting them, modifications you can do to them. and everything like that. So Brian also goes through a lot of his kind of talking points, and I'm gonna be doing that too. So I'm gonna go all over Brian's. Oh, we're gonna revisit Brian's talking points, and I will give you my picks on which one I like. So his first one is storage, right? How are you gonna store this boat? The Hobie Pro Angler 14 is not a easy kayak to store. It's a fairly big kayak. A lot of the guys that have them, they either have a garage or they have some type of alleyway next to their house, and they kind of store it there. It's not one of those small ones where you can just slip it under a couch or nothing like that, okay? So it's pretty good size. So for the most part, kayak storage, Brian said he liked the kayak because of storage. It's easier to pick up and things like that. But I think it's a wash. I feel like it's a wash right there because of my kayak, I don't transport it on the top of my car. I transport it on the back of a trailer. We actually have a double trailer, or a side-by-side trailer, where me and my brother actually transport both of our Pro Angler 14s at the same time, basically. Okay, so with that, the Jon boat, they weigh about the same. The kayak by itself with nothing on it weighs about 110 pounds. The Jon boat weighs about 110 pounds. The Jon boat's motor, the 9.9, and the trolling motor, 150 to 200 pounds. The battery is another 70 pounds. And everything else, add another 20 pounds onto it. And that's the Jon boat, okay? The kayak is 100 pounds plus the power pole plus a 20-pound battery or 10-pound battery. It's getting up there too. You're not going to pick up everything together. So it's not like you're going to pick up your fully loaded kayak and you're going to move it. It's almost impossible to do. Especially us kayakers who tournament fish, and our kayaks are fully rigged, and I mean fully rigged. They're pretty heavy. I would say 150 pounds, 200 pounds if you have all of our plastic, all of our tackle, everything we are carrying on the tournament, including food, water, and everything. The kayak probably is 200 pounds. I'm not even exaggerating. It's probably 200 pounds. And in terms of transportation, this is storage and transportation is almost the same way. Transportation, a lot of guys start off transporting the kayaks in the back of a truck or on top of a car. But eventually, if you're real serious about this, you're more than likely going to get a trailer of some kind. It's easier to transport. It's easier to throw it on top of a low trailer at the end of the day compared to trying to lift 120 pounds onto the top of a car. And a lot of times, a lot of people feel like when you strap something that heavy to the top of their car, do 90 on the highway, for example, they just don't feel very safe about that. So they rather, once again, do the trailer thing. And when you actually get to the lake and you're rigging things, it's easier to have a trailer. The boat, in terms of transportation, it's on a trailer. So boats definitely got the nod for me in my situation. Transporting, it's the same. It's pretty much a kayak boat wash. It's real tight. I'm just gonna say it's a wash for now. The cost effectiveness, I'm gonna have to give it to the kayak. Meaning, if you can be within 2 miles of the boat ramp, the kayak wins every time in terms of cost effectiveness. Because one, you don't have to pay any maintenance every year to keep it running. Our kayaks, they're pretty neglected. If you guys have ever seen our kayaks before, there's a bunch of cracks in it, and it still floats. The boat seems like every year I use it, I have to rebuild the carbs. Hence, if you watch our channel, there's a bunch of things that we've done to the boat to keep it going. Bilge pumps, headlights, and all those stuff. So batteries need to be swapped out every year or two. Keeps going. Boats just have a lot of problems, put it that way. Here's where the kayak wins in terms of the maintenance and the cost effectiveness. The kayak is, if you were going to put an arguing point for it, it will be easier to actually launch, assuming you don't have a ramp, assuming you don't have nothing flat you can back up into. You could probably move the kayak 50 yards if you have the kayak wheels, or if you have a friend that helps you move the kayak to the the shoreline. So that's a pretty big one for the kayak. You can pretty much launch it anywhere. And on top of that, the kayak can get into real sticky situations where the Jon boat can't. You can try, but the Jon boat's just gonna kind of rub rock or rub trees, and it's a little harder to navigate compared to the kayak. Kayak definitely wins on that side. And when it comes to tournaments, the kayak side is definitely more organized. For sure, more organized. Better attendees, better sponsors, better everything. The kayaks look better. The camaraderie is definitely a lot better. There's a lot of people who are more willing to tell you, teach you how to fish, how to set things up, how to use your fish finder, compared to the boat world where the people more hush hush about that. So definitely on the kayak side when it comes to tournaments. The fellowship is almost. The fellowship is a wash, just because Brian was talking about being able to almost have like a team atmosphere, where you're talking to the guy behind you, or if you're the guy behind in the back of the boat, you can still talk to the guy in the front. Where me and my brother go out, we just bring walkie-talkies, and I actually prefer it. I prefer the kayaks over the boat, because how many times have you been out there where like your brother and you are not seeing eye to eye, and he wants to go fish windblown stuff, and you're just kind of, I want to fish these rocks in the calm water. So you kind of go your own separate ways, and then one of you guys figure out the bite, and then you start sharing information through a walkie-talkie, and before you know it, man, you guys are both having a good day, So many days we go out, and he's throwing a jerk bait, and I'm on a crankbait or something like that, and he's smoking them because they just wanted something super, super slow. And I'm just power reeling it too fast, so I have to switch over to jerkbait or start dragging jigs and stuff like that. And we always have a pretty good day, So it's always the camaraderie's there, the kind of that feeling when you're not fishing alone that you get on a boat. It can be done also on a kayak if you just bring a walkie-talkie. Communications is key, basically. Resale value on a Jon boat versus resale value on a kayak. Right now, circa 2022, I would still say it's gotta be the Jon boat. I bought my Jon boat 5, 6, 7 years ago for $2,700. It was in bad shape, and I'm still pretty confident I can get $1,500 for it. Like, pretty confident. But my kayak, I bought it used for $2,000. I think I'd be lucky to get $1,500 for mine right now. So that's just a rough estimate. But I did have another kayak posted for sale, fully rigged, fully decked out, and nobody wanted to even pay the asking price, or even an offer close to the asking price. Where in the boat world, it feels like there's more people wanting to buy that boat for multiple reasons, not just fishing. A lot of people can do say hunting out of it. They can go up rivers with it and things like that. So one item can do multiple things. With the kayak world, it still feels like, especially my kayak, it feels like whoever's going to buy it, since it's such a high-end model, they're going to tournament fish out of it. And if they're not going to tournament fish, they're probably not going to buy that model. Customization. Customizing a kayak and customizing a Jon boat takes that all day. Because even on my Jon boat, I've drilled it, I've done all types of wiring to it, whereas I feel like that's a very minimal thing I have done in the world of modifying Jon boats. On my kayak, I've done pretty much the same exact work, and my kayak feels like it is fully rigged. I haven't seen anybody cut major holes in the kayak. I'm the first one that I know of that has done it. No one's ever really rigged up headlights. No one's really rigged up, like bilge pumps. No one's really rigged up live wells, that type of stuff. So the kayak world is still kind of in the beginning stages. So customization definitely goes Jon boat. The most we do to our kayaks is we put a bunch of stickers on it. That's really about it. Community support. Community support is definitely, I believe, it definitely goes the Jon boat route. The Jon boat route has the better community. We might not all talk to each other, but there's a lot of information out there just because the Jon boats have been around for so long. Get on Tiny Boat Nation, and it's ridiculous how many things you can do to a Jon boat. They've taken like Jon boats you would probably throw away, kind of like what I have right now, like a really bad beaten up Jon boat, and they have revamped it, new carpet, new drawers, professional grade live wells. They got $10,000 worth of electronics on a 14-foot boat. Okay, so that's a lot. I haven't seen that on a kayak. Kayak is basically torpedo, maybe 2 screens, a power pole. And that's kind of the extent of it. Some people put outboard motors on it, but the kayak was never designed to go that fast. So once you put that much power on it, the kayak is, I think at that point, it starts to get ridiculous. Like, starts to get ridiculous. I think hulls will start breaking. That plastic is not designed to hold down that much twists and turns from like a 5 horsepower motor. Okay, so definitely customization, Jon boat. It'll be community support, Jon boat. Stability, Jon boat by a little bit. The 1436 and my kayak is also a 36-inch wide kayak. I won't say 36, but it's definitely like 28. Okay. Stability, I've almost flipped a kayak. I've never been able to flip the Jon boat. I can run around the Jon boat very comfortably, no problems. Stability, Jon boat, it's not even arguable. Stealth. So this is one of those things where Brian touched on, and I need to put big emphasis on this. Okay, so a lot of times when you're fishing, stealth is a major player in your success. So the kayak definitely wins because very rare would I get a fish to snap at my baits, my lures, within 5 foot of the boat. It happens all the time with a kayak. So when you're fishing out a kayak, when you're bringing something back to the boat, that last couple feet before you pull it out of the water, just pay attention, make sure there's no fish following it. I've caught a lot of big fish too. I've caught 4, 5, 6 pound fish at the kayak, no more than 5 foot away from the kayak. And it's amazing what the kayak can do, especially if you got a power pole rigged up and you're just drifting with the wind as you want to go. Say you're fishing with the wind and you just power pole up and the wind pushes you a little bit and you power pole back down. It is the most quietest thing out there. The fish don't even know what's coming. And that's the reality. I do that all the time during the springtime when I bed fish. So I basically hop from bed to bed to bed, and it's crazy. You can do that. So definitely stealth goes to the kayak for sure. We don't even have a motor, okay? And this is kayaks without motors too, okay? By the way, this is still pedal drive or paddle kayak for sure. Fishability. If you're comparing my kayak, my personal kayak, to my personal Jon boat, fishability goes to the kayak. Even though Brian said it was his Jon boat, I'd say it's the kayak. Kayak, I feel like you don't have to move around to get a lot of things done because everything's right in front of you. Rods are laid down, fish finder's right here. If you use your feet to pedal to go forward. Everything else is not so important in the front deck or right behind the seat. Everything is close. Everything's right there. You get to do a lot of things by yourself that if you're in a boat, you have to tell people, hey, let's go over there, go turn on the motor, pull start the motor, let's run, go do this, go do that. The trolling motor, you have to move towards the front of the boat to engage the trolling motor to have it swing you around, or you run to the back of the boat. There's a lot of running around on a boat. Whereas as if in a kayak, you can't run around pretty much. You sit down, you stand up, you might be able to take one small tiny step, and then you're sitting your butt back down. So kayak fishability is where it's at. I really like the kayak. I prefer the kayak over the Jon boat, as long as we don't have to travel very far. Stability and high winds, things like that, the Jon boat and the kayak are about the same. I fished both of them in 20 to 25 mile per hour winds, in 2-footers, possibly even 3-footers. If it's scary on the little John boat, it is scary on the kayak. If it's scary on the kayak, it is scary on the John boat. That's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say about that. Because I've been on Texoma where it was crazy, and I've crossed the lake with a John boat. You've crossed it where, like, if you're in the trough, you can't even see in front of you. Okay, so it's a good 3 footer. I know that during the Oklahoma Kayak Angler State Championship a couple years back, when we went out to Texoma for our state championship, I did not want to be on the main lake. I could not. Me and my brother were trying to get to this one spot that I fished before, many years before, and I felt like if I could get there, I could win the tournament. And we pulled around this main lake point where the wind was blowing 25, 30 at times, and we took, I don't know, 10 giant waves over the front deck of the kayak. We had to turn back. Just couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. Safety. When it comes to safety, I feel like the John boat's a little safer. I know the kayak guys, we can hang up a red flag, but same time, we are not very fast. So if there's a boat that's headed right towards you, you are a sitting duck. You can't move fast enough. Top speed from a standstill, I don't know, 3, 4, 5. Some guys can top out at 6, but personally, I do like 4.5, and that's only for a brief moment in time. On a John boat, you start up that outboard in the back, that 9.9, it kicks you up to 10 pretty quick. Pretty quick, and you'll top out around 20 if you have to. So you can move out of the way. There's onboard lights, there's also trolling motors, so depending on where you're at, so the situation is definitely safer. Plus, it's just bigger. It's bigger, you're standing up on it. A lot of people will easily see you. They'll easily see you. And because I know this because one time the Sky2 State Championship, there was a boat we launched real early. They had a overnight tournament. Bass boats were screaming by me. This is 6 o'clock in the morning. There was no daylight yet, even though I had a 360 light. There was big bass boats screaming by me 20 yards right in front of me, full speed at 60, 70 miles per hour at night. It's pretty scary, man. I'm telling you, it's pretty scary. I had my 360 light on and I had a flashlight, and I was signaling this guy, and he still screamed right by me. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. Probably 60. He was a full-blown 21-foot bass boat. Screamed right by me at night. It was still pretty much pitch black, but like I said, I had a 360 light, and I was flashing it with a real powerful, like, 1,000 lumen flashlight too. So, and they still screamed right by me. So that wouldn't have happened in a John boat. If that was the case, John boat would have turned out of the way. So from a safety perspective, John boat for sure. And if the wind picks up, John boat for sure. Again, the John boat can cross the lake before it gets real rough. Okay, so definitely John boat from the safety perspective. The environmental factors. So if you're going to talk environmental factors, this is something that Brian didn't really talk about. If there's any environmental issues that may arise, or like, for example, like we do a lot of tailwater fishing, right, below the dams and stuff. We take the John boat, or you can take the kayak if the water is not on, right? But if they do say if this is your like bad luck day and they just happen to start pulling water, start releasing water out of the generators, and they start flowing 8, 10, 20, 30, 40,000 CFS, the John boat's going to get you back to where you need to go. The kayak, you better get to shore quick, because there ain't no way you're paddling upriver. Okay, you can paddle, like I said, 3 miles per hour, but that water's flowing 5, 6, 7, 8. You're not going to be able to get back upriver. So that's one of those environmental features that, like I said, from my point of view, I can attest to, because I've been caught like that before, and it was not fun. Try pulling your kayak upriver while you're like knee high, and the water's rushing, and you're just kind of stuck, and it sucks. Cuts your fishing trip short, you know. And on top of that, like they're both small boats. This is the other thing that I wanted to put into this video, is the benefits of having these kayaks and smaller boats. Is there's a lot of things you can do. A lot of shallow water. Shallow water is where you can excel. So this is where I'm gonna kind of talk about that just a little bit. One scenario that I always use my John boat in is to run upriver. So you have a launch, you can run upriver, and you can run as far as you can go, as far as you really want to go. Because the John boat's real light. Like I said, it's only like 150 pounds. So if you run so shallow, you get out of it, and 2 guys can just literally pull it over a rock if you have to. So Jon boat takes the win on that one, and it's not a workout. That's the other thing too. But if you're gonna float down a river, then the Jon boat is not as fun as the kayak. Okay, so depending on what you want to do, each have their benefit. Okay, if you're just floating down a river, the kayak is so much fun. It's so much fun to do, and a lot of people watching this video can attest. So if you guys agree, let me know in the comments. All right, but when it comes to hunting, the 14-foot Jon boat versus the 14-foot kayak. I've never done this in the kayak, but I feel like the kayak is going to be more fun to do it in. Because I feel like if you have a kayak, everybody that goes with you has a kayak, by the way. You're not sharing space. You're not doing any of that stuff. So, especially if you're duck hunting, shoot the duck, paddle over, pick up the duck, paddle back, sit your ass back down on the ground, cover the camel back up. Everybody has their own camel. I think it'll be a lot more fun on a kayak compared to a big boat, 14-foot Jon boat, because I feel like it's harder to hide a boat than to hide a kayak also. So if you have a kayak that you just have some type of camo over it sitting on the bank, duck's probably just gonna think it's a log, whereas you have a square object with a big black thing hanging off the back. The outboard's real hard to conceal. Think about that a little bit. So from the hunting perspective, you're talking ducks. Even I've seen people do big game where they use it cross rivers and things like that. Yeah, someone steals your kayak, it doesn't hurt as bad as someone stealing your Jon boat. I think the Jon boat hurts a lot more. So this is probably the thing that's going to make it or break it for everybody is the range. So depending on what you do, the range is going to pretty much dictate which one wins for you, and it still does it for me. I have both options, right? So if I'm going out, I'm going fishing, right, and I have to make a 2-mile plus run to where I want to go to, there's no way I'm taking a kayak. There's no way. There's too many unforeseen variables. The winds can pick up. Lightning storm might happen. And I've been caught in a lightning storm before in both kayaks and Jon boat. And it's a lot scarier in the kayak. Okay. At least in Jon boat, you can see the thunderstorms rolling in. You can paddle real quick. Not paddle. You could gun it and go 20 miles per hour all the way back to the boat. And the kayak, man, it's like if you're a couple miles out, you're trying to cross the lake, it is sketch. You might actually want to just wait it out on that side of the lake and let the storms pass and then come in. I've done that too. Tuvu was there. I have proof, okay? Crazy day, lightning bolts dropping everywhere. Crazy day. If that was a Jon boat, we'd be back at the ramp in 3 minutes, But since it was a kayak, we got stuck in the island basically. Just sat it out. It was downpouring like crazy. So the Jon boat, if you're 2 miles plus, you're going up river, Jon boat all day. It's not even like a contest. So that's it. That's what you want to do. Open water stuff, it doesn't really matter. Open water, I'm comfortable with both of them. So if you're in open water, as long as the wind's not too terribly crazy, if it's less than 15, you'll be all right. 10's probably just fine on a kayak, pedal kayak.
Oh, this one's good size, yo. This one's good size.
All right, so that's what I want to just say in this video is there's a lot of aspects to one versus another, and for me, the deciding factor is mainly the range. Okay, so it's mainly the range in terms of carrying equipment, carrying everything else. They could both carry the same amount of equipment.
It's decent size.
They could both carry the same amount of gear. They could both carry the same amount of fish you decide to harvest. They could both carry a full-size deer on the back of the kayak if you wanted to. I've seen people carry 8-foot alligators on Facebook groups. That's ridiculously crazy, but it's possible on a kayak. Woo. That's easily done on a Jon boat. Now, the kayak, you can transport it across land, where it's a little bit tricky to do on a Jon boat. And if you have a pond that is not easily accessible, say there's a bunch of brush in the way or something like that, or you don't have a really good spot to launch a legit boat, the Jon boat you could probably drag over the rocks and not the Jon boat, the kayak you could probably drag over the rocks and just slip it in and you'll be fine. And plus, if it's a kayak, it's okay if it's scratched up a little bit. So anyways, that's what I got going. That's my little video, semi rant for the night. And let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you're a kayak guy or a John boat guy. And we'll see you on the next one. All right, guys. Bye.